For today's lesson, we are looking at verbs, pronouns, and articles. We will first look at verbs. By now, you should know that a verb is a doing word. It describes an action that is taking place in a sentence. Every sentence has a verb. There are two main functions of the verb in a sentence. The first is performing an action. For example, Mr. Widdows drinks his coffee. Drink is the action being performed. The second function is a state of existence. For example, Mr. Martins is my principal. Is the state of existence. We are going to talk about 7 types of verbs today. The first one we are going to look at is an auxiliary verb. These are the verbs that help you to form new tenses, present, past, or future. They are also known as helping verbs. For example, I am writing. Am is your auxiliary verb for present tense. I was writing. Was would be your auxiliary verb for past tense. And I shall be writing is your auxiliary verb for future tense. A modal verb is also a type of auxiliary verb. There are 9 modal verbs: shall and should, will and would, can and could, and may, might, and must. Participles are the form of the verb. They usually follow an auxiliary verb or helping verb, and they help form the tense of the verb. We talk about 2 participles: the present participle, which will end in an ing, and the past participle, which can end in an ed, an en, or a t. An example of the present participle would be the girl is smiling. Is would be our auxiliary verb, and smiling is our present tense participle, which ends in ing. An example of a past participle would be the house was built in 1 year. Was would be our auxiliary verb, and built would be our past participle, and this one ends in a T. Finite verbs are your main verbs in your sentence. If there is only one verb in a sentence, we call it the finite verb or the main verb. They will always have a subject and they will show tense. For example, Matt plays the piano would be your present tense, and Matt played the piano would be your past tense. In both those sentences, Matt would be your subject. Non-finite verbs are also called infinitive verbs. A verb is incomplete or an infinitive if it has no subject. It will always include the word to in front of it. For example, to be, to hold, to have, to sleep, etc. That word should never be split from to. Infinitive verbs cannot stand alone, and they will always have a finite verb in front of them. For example, she wants to play. Wants is your finite verb, and to play would be your non-finite or your infinitive verb. Remember that we identify non-finite verbs with a to in front of it. The last set of verbs that we are going to talk about are the transitive and intransitive verbs. A transitive verb is a verb that is followed by an object. For example, the teacher taught the lesson. The lesson in this sentence will be the object. Therefore, taught will be a transitive verb. An intransitive verb is a verb that is not followed by an object. For example, the teacher taught. There is no object in this sentence, so taught would be an intransitive verb. Remember, boys and girls, if you are not sure about a subject and an object, ask yourself the question, for a subject, who or what is doing the verb? So in this case, who or what is teaching? The teacher is teaching. Therefore, the teacher would be your subject. For object, you can ask yourself the question, who or what is the verb being done to? So who or what is being taught? For the first sentence, the lesson is being taught. Therefore, the lesson is your object. In the second sentence, there is nothing being done to something. Therefore, there is no object. The next topic we are going to talk about is a pronoun. These are the words we use in the place of a noun. We use pronouns to prevent the repetition of our nouns and to avoid making sentences sound awkward. The most important thing about pronouns is to make sure that everyone clearly knows who or what you are talking about. There are 7 different types of pronouns. The first type of pronoun is a personal pronoun. These replace the names of people or things. For example, I, me, you, we, he, and she. The second type of pronoun is a possessive pronoun, and these show ownership. For example, mine, yours, ours, his, hers, its, and theirs. The third type of pronoun is a relative pronoun. These refer to a person or thing that has already been mentioned. It should always come next to the noun to which it relates. For people, we use who, whom, and whose. For animals and things, we use which or that. For example, a relative pronoun for the people would be the teacher who lost her keys found them in the car. You will see there that the relative pronoun who comes after the teacher that it relates to. For animals and things, we use which or that. For example, the keys which the teacher lost have been found. So the relative pronoun which is directly next to the noun keys to which it relates. The fourth pronoun that we talk about is a reflective pronoun, and they end in self or selves. Herself, myself, yourself, ourselves, themselves. The fifth pronoun is a demonstrative pronoun. These point out the noun. If they come before a noun, they are demonstrative. So that is very important to remember. This, that, these, those. If they come before a noun, they are demonstrative. This is a new car. That pen belongs to me. These shoes are mine. Those are your books. The next pronoun is an interrogative pronoun. They are used for asking questions. If you're interrogating someone, you are asking them questions. That is an easy way to remember an interrogative pronoun is used for asking questions. The types of interrogative pronouns that we use are who, whose, what, which, and whom. For example, what did he say? Whose pencil is that? What is the time? And then the last pronoun that we talk about is an indefinite pronoun. and these refer to people or things in a general way. They show unspecified objects or people. So, for example, all, anybody, many, no one, or anything. They are unspecified. For example, everyone went to the beach. The last topic we are discussing today is articles. There are 3 articles in English: the, an, and a. The is known as a definite article and refers to a specific person or thing. For example, the award was given to the students. A and an are called indefinite articles because they are non-specific. For example, an elephant is a herbivore. Remember, we use an in front of a noun that starts with a vowel.